Richard Sterling, a man who personified success, stepped out of his chauffeured limousine.
My life is a tapestry woven from the finest threads, luxury apartments, exotic vacations, and a bank account that echoes with endless zeros. Tonight, I crave a change from the predictable opulence of my usual haunts.
His assistant had suggested Le Petit Coin, a small, unassuming bistro tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. Richard, used to the hushed reverence of Michelin-starred establishments, felt a flicker of curiosity. He entered the restaurant, the scent of garlic and herbs washing over him. The air buzzed with a low hum of conversation, punctuated by bursts of laughter. Richard, accustomed to the hushed whispers of exclusive dining rooms, felt a strange sense of displacement. He was shown to a small table by the window. The checkered tablecloth, worn thin with countless washes, felt oddly comforting. He picked up the menu, the paper thick and textured, a far cry from the leather-bound volumes he was used to. The dishes listed were simple, almost pedestrian, yet there was an honesty to them that intrigued him.
I closed my eyes, inhaling deeply, letting the scent transport me back to my childhood. Back then, happiness was a warm loaf of bread, shared with my family in our cramped kitchen.
He opened his eyes, the memory fading as quickly as it had surfaced. He watched as a young couple, their faces aglow with love, shared a plate of pasta. A wave of something unfamiliar washed over him, envy. His gaze fell on a lone figure seated at a corner table. An elderly woman, her silver hair pulled back in a neat bun, sat hunched over a bowl of soup. Her hands, gnarled with age, cradled the bowl like a precious treasure. She ate slowly, her eyes closed, savoring each spoonful with an intensity that captivated Richard.
I felt a lump form in my throat. I had amassed a fortune, built an empire, yet I couldn't recall the last time I had truly savored a moment, lost myself in the simple pleasure of a book.
The woman's quiet contentment struck a discordant note within him, a stark contrast to the restlessness that plagued his own existence. He realized with a sudden clarity that he had spent his life accumulating things, experiences, wealth, but had somehow missed out on the simple joys that life had to offer. He shifted in his seat, the plush leather of his chair suddenly feeling cold and impersonal. The restaurant, once charming, now seemed to press in on him, the air thick with unspoken stories.
I looked at the other diners, really looked at them, and saw not just customers, but individuals with their own hopes, dreams, and heartaches. The young couple, so lost in their own world, were saving up for their first apartment. The harried waiter, juggling multiple orders with a tired smile, was working his way through college.
The restaurant, he realized, was more than just a place to eat. It was a microcosm of life itself. He, however, had always existed on the periphery of life, an observer rather than a participant. But here, in this humble bistro, the walls seemed to crumble, exposing him to a raw, unfiltered view of humanity. A voice interrupted his thoughts, pulling him back to the present. A young woman, her face alight with enthusiasm, stood beside his table. She was holding a notepad and pen, her eyes sparkling with a warmth that disarmed him. It was a rare sight to see such genuine kindness in a place so bustling and impersonal.
"Excuse me, sir," she began, her voice a melodic blend of curiosity and respect. "I couldn't help but notice you watching everyone. You seem troubled. Is there anything I can get for you? Perhaps a slice of our famous apple pie? It's my grandmother's recipe."
Richard hesitated, caught off guard by her genuine concern. He was used to people approaching him with veiled requests, their eyes flickering to his expensive watch, their words laced with calculated flattery. But this young woman, this waitress with her kind eyes and infectious smile, seemed different. She wasn't trying to impress him, she was simply being herself, and that was refreshing.
"Sometimes," she said softly, "the most important things in life are the ones we often overlook. The warmth of human connection, the joy of simple pleasures, the comfort of belonging. It's these moments that truly matter." Her words lingered in the air, resonating with a truth he hadn't considered in a long time. Richard felt a shift within him, a spark of something he thought he'd lost.
Her words, simple yet profound, resonated deeply within him. He realized he had been so focused on achieving, on acquiring, that he had forgotten how to simply be. He had surrounded himself with possessions, but not people. The waitress, sensing his shift in demeanor, gestured towards the elderly woman in the corner.
"My grandmother," she explained. "She's lived a simple life, worked hard, raised a family, and found joy in the everyday moments."
Richard looked at the elderly woman, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the restaurant's lights, and felt a surge of admiration. He had spent his life chasing happiness, believing it could be found in the acquisition of material possessions. Yet, here was a woman who had found contentment in the simplicity of her existence. "Would you like to join us?" Richard asked, surprising even himself with the invitation. He had never been one to reach out to strangers, especially in such a personal setting. He gestured to the empty chair at his table, an unfamiliar warmth spreading through his chest. It was as if the simple act of offering a seat had opened a door within him, one that had been closed for far too long.
The waitress, her eyes widening in surprise, smiled and shook her head. She had seen many things in her years of service, but this was a first. "I'm working, sir," she replied gently, "but thank you for the offer." Her voice carried a note of genuine appreciation, a rare sound in the hustle and bustle of the restaurant.
"Then bring your grandmother," Richard insisted, his voice firm yet kind. He could see the hesitation in her eyes, but also a flicker of hope. "I'd be honored to buy her dinner." He meant every word, feeling a strange but welcome sense of purpose in the offer. And so it was that Richard Sterling, the millionaire who had always dined alone, found himself sharing a meal with a waitress and her grandmother in a humble bistro. The table, once a symbol of his solitude, now brimmed with life and conversation. They talked, they laughed, they shared stories of their lives, their hopes, their dreams. The walls of the bistro seemed to fade away, leaving only the warmth of human connection. And as the evening deepened, Richard felt a sense of connection he hadn't realized he was missing. It was as if a piece of his soul had been restored, a piece he hadn't known was lost. He listened, truly listened, as the elderly woman spoke of her life, her words filled with a quiet wisdom that resonated deeply within him. Her stories painted pictures of a time long past, yet they felt incredibly relevant to his own journey.
He looked at the waitress, her face glowing with pride as she spoke of her grandmother, and saw in her a reflection of the woman's strength, kindness, and resilience. Her stories painted vivid pictures of a life filled with love and hard work, a testament to the enduring spirit of her family.
He realized that true wealth wasn't inherited, but earned through hard work, dedication, and an unwavering love for family. The restaurant, with its humble decor and heartfelt service, was a living embodiment of these values, a sanctuary where the essence of genuine human connection thrived.
As he ate the simple meal, the flavors enhanced by the warmth of the company, he realized that he had been starving for more than just food. The laughter and camaraderie around the table filled a void he hadn't known existed, a hunger for meaningful interactions and shared moments.
He had been starving for connection, for authenticity, for a taste of a life less ordinary. The genuine smiles and heartfelt conversations around him were a stark contrast to the superficial exchanges he was accustomed to.
He had spent his life surrounded by luxury, yet had somehow missed out on the simple pleasures that truly nourished the soul. The richness of the experience here was not in the opulence, but in the authenticity and warmth that permeated the air.
He looked around the restaurant, his gaze lingering on the mismatched furniture, the worn floorboards, the faded photographs adorning the walls. Each element told a story, a narrative of lives lived with passion and purpose.
He saw not imperfections, but character. The rustic charm of the place spoke to him in a way that no polished surface ever could.
He had entered the restaurant seeking a change of pace, but he left with something far more profound, a change of perspective. The experience had opened his eyes to the beauty of simplicity and the profound joy found in genuine human connections.
As he stepped out of the restaurant, the city lights seemed to shimmer with a newfound vibrancy.
The cacophony of traffic, once an annoyance, now sounded like a symphony of life.
The people rushing by, once strangers, now seemed connected to him, their lives intertwined with his own in the grand tapestry of existence.
He took a deep breath, the crisp night air filling his lungs.
He felt lighter, freer, as if a weight had been lifted from his shoulders.
He had spent his life striving for more, always reaching for the next milestone, the next acquisition.
But in the process, he had lost sight of what truly mattered.
He had built his life on a foundation of material wealth, only to discover that true happiness lay not in possessions, but in experiences, in connections, in the simple joys that made life worth living. He got into his limousine, the plush leather seats now feeling oddly unfamiliar.
He waved to the waitress, her smile a beacon of warmth in the cool night air.
As the car pulled away, he looked back at the small bistro, its windows glowing like golden eyes in the darkness.
He knew he would never forget this night, this meal, this unexpected encounter that had shaken him to his core.
He had come seeking a change of pace, but had found something far more profound, a change of heart.
He had come face to face with his own humanity, his own mortality, and in doing so, had discovered a depth and richness to life he had never known existed.
He reached into his pocket and fingered the worn napkin the elderly woman had given him.
It was a simple gesture, yet it held more meaning than all the expensive gifts he had ever received.
The world, he realized, was full of extraordinary moments disguised as ordinary events.
It was in the shared laughter of a meal, the warmth of a stranger's smile, the quiet contentment of a life well lived.
It was in the everyday moments, the seemingly insignificant encounters, that true beauty lay hidden.
He had spent his life chasing after extraordinary experiences, believing that happiness resided in the exceptional, the unattainable.
But he now understood that true joy lay not in the extraordinary, but in the ability to find the extraordinary within the ordinary.
He had a newfound appreciation for the simple things, the things he had once taken for granted.
The taste of freshly baked bread, the sound of rain on the roof, the warmth of the sun on his skin.
He would strive to make the world a less ordinary place, one meal, one connection, one act of kindness at a time.